Well, hey, it's time for Ask the Tech Guys. Leo Laporte here. Coming up, how to preserve an old microcassette, 30 years old, with a conversation between Dad and Grandpa.
Wow. And I am Micah Sargent, and we tell a listener, don't worry, it's okay you gave that app Bluetooth permission.
And then what do you do when HP disables your printer? It's all coming up next at Ask the Tech Guys.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This is Ask the Tech Guys with Micah Sargent and Leo Laporte, episode 2034, recorded Sunday, July 21st, 2024. Harpsichord Guff. Well, hey, how are you today?
I'm Peachy Keen, Leo
That would
Laporte.
be Micah Sargent, the host of the Tech Guys. He's one half of the Tech Guys.
Hello.
I'm 1/4 of the Tech Guys. And you are 25% of the Tech Guys. You, because this is a show where we all help each other.
We all work together to make this happen.
It's like a user group.
I like
right?
it. Mm-hmm.
You come here, you ask a question, we go, I don't know. But then there's somebody in the Club TWiT Discord or who's watching the show who does. That's right. I don't know what the news is because I forgot my laptop. I'm working off the phone today.
What's in the news? The big news.
There is one story that maybe I don't need to refer to the phone for.
It's like a large group is called, if a large group of people get together.
Yes. Is it a gaggle?
No, it starts with a C.
Crowd. It's a crowd. And then if you hit yourself in the head.
If you hit yourself in the head, or I was going to say, if those large group of people start protesting something.
So Crowdstrike was a longtime sponsor of TWiT. Mm-hmm. And I think they're great people. But something went very, very wrong. Horribly wrong. And they pushed an update. They call it a sensor configuration update. So I remember this from when we talked to the CTO at Crowdstrike, who's a little busy right now. But he said what we have is sensors in all these computers, all our customers, that are constantly monitoring for malicious traffic. And that gives them an advantage. So everybody who has Windows and is a Crowdstrike customer is kind of reporting back in as malicious stuff happens on the internet. Well, they released a sensor configuration on July 19th at 4:09 UTC. At 4:10 UTC,
the world came to a standstill.
Windows machines in Australia began crashing. Blue screens of death
everywhere.
And then it slowly, as the day dawned across the globe, spread everywhere. Airlines were down. In fact, I love the pictures. Did you see some of the pictures of blue screens of death on the Las Vegas Sphere?
Wow.
Blue screens of death at airports. Blue screens of death everywhere. Microsoft says Crowdstrike only is on 15 million Windows PCs. So this only affected 15 million Windows PCs. So it's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
Except it was the PCs that it affected
were the biggest, most important ones.
I take it back. 8.5 million Windows. So that's nothing. Except it was the ones that run the airlines.
Amazon said that there may be package delays because of this. Kaiser Permanente said that they were having issues because of this. Yeah, maybe it's not everybody's everyday PC, but it was the PC of many, an important system or group, and it's kind of wild what it came down to, which was, from my understanding of kind of reading through, and perhaps you have even better way to grok this, but essentially the update suggested that the system looks into a place in the code that is a place in memory that is reserved and not to be looked into. And anytime it is looked into, then what Windows does to protect itself from a malicious actor is implode. Normally what happens when something like that happens, because they exist outside of the system protected files, is it just crashes the program.
Right.
But because Crowdstrike has access to the system and it referenced this place in memory, then it had to crash the entire system, not just the program itself.
It's really, yeah. So this is the problem with security software in general, is it often operates at a lower level, what we call ring 0. If you're not at ring 0, you can't crash the system. If you are at ring 0, you can. And so CrowdStrike sensors were. The fix wasn't that complicated. You just had to reboot the machine into safe mode so it wouldn't load that sensor, and to delete a file from the CrowdStrike directory. Except that you had to do that
at the command line, right?
To every machine. Well, yeah. I mean, you could do it in the File Explorer if you wanted, but you had to do it to every machine in your enterprise. I don't know if you know A. DaCosta, who is in our TWiT social on our Mastodon instance. Just ended my second overtime shift thanks to CrowdStrike today. What I have learned these past 2 days is primitive modern operating systems like Windows remain. No so-called AI could fix. This was a boots on the ground effort. My legs and feet hurt so bad. Poor A. DaCosta had to go from machine to machine to machine, doing the same thing over and over and over again. Going back to my point, the recovery tools in Windows are trash and can't do anything useful. A lot of this required using, command line operations to speed up deleting the corrupt file that was triggering the blue screen. And he goes on with a lot of information. And actually, thank you for posting this in our TWiT social, A. DaCosta, and you have my deepest sympathies. Many, many, many of our listeners have been working overtime. A lot of them work in IT. I almost went live on Thursday. I thought, boy, or was it Friday? We should really cover this. But my studio wasn't set up in the attic yet, and I just wasn't ready to do that. But next time, and there will be next time. Now, Tuesday, Steve will talk about this in greater detail, I'm sure. Microsoft says, well, it's not our fault. It's CrowdStrike's fault. And that's actually true.
Genuinely.
In fact, Microsoft has now released, they say, a USB key that will do the fix automatically. You plug it in, it loads, fixes things, and goes away. So that if you are an IT professional, you might want to look into that. There's so much time Windows wastes BSODing, that blue screen of deathing, says DaCosta, until it finally decides to load recovery. Windows should have common sense to know a foreign third-party file, not a Windows system file, is doing something bad. Instead of showing my dumb blue screen with a smiley, by the way, insult
that's
injury.
Annoying. Yeah.
Why not deleting the stupid effing sh.sys file and see what happens and guess? Anyway, he's a lot more swearing. I don't blame him at all. Couple of notes I got from one guy saying it's interesting because the shorts on CrowdStrike's stock went through the roof 2 days before this, as if somebody might have known this.
Okay, that's weird. That's weird.
Conspiracy theory, maybe. The other thing I will point out is the CEO of CrowdStrike, back in the day, was the CEO of McAfee, which did the same thing. CTO at McAfee did the same thing, pushed out an update that brought Windows machines down all over the world.
Yikes.
So he's got practice at this? I don't know. It shows a number of problems. People with Macs and Linux systems had no problem. But don't go, we're better, because that could happen to you,
Exactly.
too.
There could be some push that goes out. And it makes me think of when Rivian pushed out a software update over the air, and then cars were unable to be started. That's the thing. These whether it's mission critical in terms of a hospital, or it's mission critical in terms of I need to get to work in the morning, and now I have to have my car towed to the dealership to get this fix done because a push happened. That's wild to me, and it makes me never want to turn on automatic updates on stuff. Yeah, because it's like, well, I'll let the first person go before I do. I can't think of the phrase for that, but someone else take the step and then I'll follow. Yes.
You go over the hill, gentlemen. I'll be right back here watching. Anyway, terrible thing. I guess, you could take, there's a lot of morals, people took away from this, a lot of lessons that I don't know if they're valuable, like, well, we should be using Mac or Linux. No. oh, look how interdependent we are. It is true. I have to say, when you have everybody using the same operating system, you kind of have a problem. You know who didn't have a problem?
Who?
Delta went down. American Airlines went down. Southwest Airlines didn't go down. You know why?
Because they use Linux? I don't know
Windows 3.1.
Oh.
Windows. Now, I know that Steve Gibson's going to take a victory lap on this one. They use Windows 3.1 and Windows 95, both of which are not being updated for security, right? But, so you don't get any pushed updates.
This is okay.
You don't get any pushed updates. And what they're saying is, well, it's stable. It's operating.
It's stable until you get hacked.
Well, I presume they have defenses around it, that it's not just connected directly to the internet.
I guess, yeah, if you're mission critical, I don't know.
I thought that was kind of interesting. I'm not sure. Again, I don't think that's the lesson to be learned here, is that everybody should use Windows 3.1. But we are kind of in a monoculture, and everybody's using Windows 10 and Windows 11, and apparently 8.5 million of you are using CrowdStrike. And
I mean, yeah, I drive around a Flintstones car because then I don't have to worry about
do it with your feet?
Yeah, then I don't have to worry about rely on anything else. You know, there's nothing that can go wrong.
See, I didn't have to think about what the news of the week was.
It was there.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
We'll be talking a lot about it for the next few days. Steve Gibson will be talking. But I don't think there's a whole lot we can learn from this, really.
Yeah, because this kind of thing happens.
That.
This kind of thing happens, and whoever or whatever was responsible for it, the company is going to be looking into it. They'll figure it out. They'll do better next time.
It is why I have often said, and I know Steve has often said, we don't use antiviruses. Because for the same reason, and we've seen this happen with antiviruses. McAfee is one of them. They operate at such a low level. If something goes wrong with them, that can really cause a big problem. And that's what we're seeing here. A piece of security software you put on your system to protect you actually causing the problem. Now, I don't think that if you're an enterprise, you should not use security software. So,
exactly.
Again, not a great lesson. But maybe home users, antiviruses generally don't help. They mostly just get in the way.
Yeah, it's more about what you do and how you are safe online.
That's right.
Speaking of relying on things and having them fail you, a bunch of links online may soon stop functioning, or will soon stop functioning, as Google has decided that goo.gl links will completely stop working in August of 2025. The company,
now, they said that they were going to stop work. They stopped doing them.
The company did stop in March of 2019.
Nobody's created new
goo.gl
links. Yeah.
But there are lots of services out there that have made use of those goo.gl links. And what's wild to me, and maybe if Patrick's listening, he can chime in, is
our engineer who is listening. I know.
He
just
wonder,
compared Southwest Airlines to Battlestar Galactica.
how much work is it? How much server side spend goes to keeping the goo.gl links that are out in the world working?
That's not that much.
It doesn't seem like it's that much. So to say we're not letting those that have been out there for years even work anymore, it's very googly. And it feels silly.
Now, this is another news story that just broke. President Biden has dropped out of the 2024 presidential race and has endorsed his vice president, Kamala Harris. We don't normally cover that kind of thing, but I don't want you to be watching the show and then wake up 2 hours later and say, what? So if you want to go watch the news, go ahead. We'll be here.
Yeah, we'll be here.
We're a podcast. You can download it later. But that's maybe a big deal.
Yeah,
maybe
certainly.
A big deal. All right. What do we do now? I think what we do, I don't even have any. I have nothing. let me just look and see if I have a Slack telling me what to do, because maybe
we don't have any ads, if that's what you're asking.
Oh, we have no ads.
No. So we'll just take a pause that refreshes.
You're watching
Ask the Tech Guys with Leo Laporte and Micah Sargent.
Now let's take a call. Now, John, do you have that capability? Or do I have to do that? You do. You can do that. Yeah. Okay. I should mention, by the way, we are now streaming on every dang platform sorry, I didn't mean to say that while you were drinking. Every dang platform Almost came right out his
Yeah,
nose.
it truly did.
I'll work on it. Every dang platform out there. We were, of course, on YouTube, youtube.com/twit/live. But we are now on twitch.tv. Again, twitch.tv/twit. We're on Kick, which the only reason I know Kick is because they sponsor a lime green car in the F1 races. So I know about Kick. Facebook I've heard of. We're on Facebook. We're on X. Generally, because very few people stream on X, we are one of the top streams on X. Should be pretty easy to find us at x.com. Where else? Everywhere.
All
LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know LinkedIn had video
LinkedIn
streaming.
streams? Wow.
So we are on that. So please, by all means, watch us live. We are live every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific, 2 to 5 Eastern, 1800 UTC. Now we have our first call of the show at 888-724-2884. Hi, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm Matthew in beautiful Valley Glen, California.
Hi, Matthew.
Hello, Matthew.
I'm a happy Club TWiT member.
Well, thank you very much. Are you in your Egyptian tomb right now? What is going on behind you?
This is a photograph I took outside a Masonic temple in Pasadena, California.
Oh, what a great picture.
I just couldn't resist.
I love it.
And the only reason it works is that my head hides the unimportant part.
It's great. It's like you have two sphinxes keeping an eye on you. So
exactly.
What can we do for you?
Well, I have an Apple Music issue actually on my iMac. I have a rather large library, and I wanted to put the entire library onto an external drive. So I bought a 1 terabyte SSD. It connects via USB-C, so it's nice and fast. I copied everything in my library first to another disk, and then I copied my entire library to this SSD, and then I went into Preferences Advanced and pointed music at the external drive. And I thought all was well, but for some reason, some of the items that show up are on the external drive, and some are on my my iMac's own drive, and I've been updating some of those without knowing it. So what I'd like to do is get the most recent versions of every file, every track, onto one drive and point it at that one, and then delete
the other one. Yeah, you did come unplugged or something.
You unplugged your mic.
Delete.
Yeah.
There it is.
I knocked it over.
Yeah, so it sounds like at some point things got a little confused. And here is my recommendation for you on how to fix that. Because if you do it kind of behind the scenes, meaning that you take those files and you put them someplace and then you open up music and then you go into preferences and do that, you're kind of, you're not guiding the app to do what it needs to do and explaining what it needs to do. So what I recommend that you do is you plug in that external hard drive and you hold down the Alt or Option key on your Mac and then click on Music. When you do that, a pop-up comes up on screen that says Choose Music Library. And there's an option to choose a library or create a library. You'll choose Create Library, and you will choose that external hard drive as the library. That gives music the knowledge, first and foremost, of, okay, I'm being told where I need to create this new library, and that is the place that this person has blessed as the home of the music. Then you go into your actual, into the actual app, the music app. You go File, you go Library, and then you choose Organize Library. And that should help to consolidate those files onto that external hard drive. So I've found that with Apple's systems, especially with macOS, if you kind of just change where the files are using Finder and then sort of go in afterward and tell it what you wanted it to do, it's not as good as if you kind of from the get-go direct the system to create things in that way. Because what I think is happening behind the scenes is there's still some part of the app that's kind of holding on, thinking that it's supposed to be organizing music in one place. And so some of those references are still taking place there. But by starting from the get-go, that should help you to create the library where you're trying to have it. And by the way, that same thing works with the Photos app as well.
It's good to know.
So my remaining question on that is, how do I get the most recent version of every file onto one drive, like that external drive? Because that's the problem, because right now it's looking in both places.
Ew.
Some got updated on one, some on the other. So
when you say updated, what do you mean? Are you changing the music somehow?
Changing the tags. I'm very fussy with my tags.
Okay, so you do the tags. Eesh. I think that's going to require, that will require some Finder foo, because you're going to want to make sure, that you have the,
What?
Yeah.
This is more complicated.
Why do you want it in two places?
I didn't want it in two
he wants
places.
it to be
I
all
wanted
moved.
it on an external drive.
Well, move it all to the external drive and delete it from the internal drive, right?
Yeah, because what you could, okay, so here's what
So
you could
then
do.
all the changes will be there because you're doing them there.
Yeah, if you take all of the ones that are stored on your Mac, you highlight those and you move them over, then, oh no, because if you do the replace command, it's just going to replace them. It's not going to
So
choose
here's
the
the
most recent.
command that you want, and it's a deep command line command, but it's very useful. It's called rsync, RSYN.
That's a good idea.
C. And you can have rsync. You're going to have to research the command line for this, but you can have rsync synchronize two folders, keeping the newest file from each, right? Because that's what you want. As soon as you modify the tags, that's modification date on that file is updated. So you're going to have to you can Google it and read the manual for rsync. I can't remember what it is. I never remember because I don't use it enough, so I always have to do this anyway. But if you rsync and you'll have the source and you'll have both folders, and you will say, I want the external drive folder to be the most up to date and have the most recent files on all the most recent files on it. rsync is designed to synchronize folders so they're identical. So you can easily use that to make sure that you get just the files you want on the external. And then maybe don't delete it, but rename the internal folder just in case.
Just to keep it.
You're missing something, so you have it. But once you've moved it by renaming it, iTunes won't see it, music won't see it anymore. And so then anytime you change tags, it's going to be changing it on the external.
And that's RSYNC, just like how you'd think.
rsync is actually underneath Carbon Copy Cloner.
Yeah.
It's underneath Mike Bombich's great program, which is escaping me at the moment. Why do I remember his name? But not
I know, right? Because
the name of the program. Anyway.
No, wait, Bombich is Carbon Copy Cloner.
Oh, he is Carbon Copy Cloner.
But the other one...
Yeah, there's a couple of them. Super Duper, that's the one.
Yep.
So either one of those, they're actually just a GUI front end to rsync, is my understanding.
I was just using
really a power tool.
Just using it the other day. I had some files that needed moving out from several kind of directories down into the main directory,
Right.
But then I needed all of the originals to go away while I kept it, but I wanted it to check to make sure that they had been moved first. It does so much. It's really cool.
That's a secondary tip, by the way, is if you really feel uncomfortable with the command line, you could use Carbon Copy Cloner or Super Duper to do the same thing. They just give you, a GUI on top of it. I like the command line because I want to know exactly what it's doing.
I think too, there's an app. There's an app called Kaleidoscope. If you are uncomfy with the command line, this is the app that I was trying to think of. Kaleidoscope. You can look up kaleidoscope.app. And kaleidoscope.app is a merge system. So it will look at files, and what's great about it is you kind of it's a drag and drop interface. So you can say, I want all of the most recently edited files from these two places to go here. It's a little pricey. But if you're having trouble with the command line, this might be what you do.
That might be worth it. And one last thing, if Jim who's somewhere waiting in there, if he's the sound guy.
Yes.
He's a friend of mine. Haven't seen you in a while. Hi, Jim.
You're kidding. What do you do?
Oh, I'm just an IT guy.
Okay, but you've worked on movie sets with Jim, or just you know him for other reasons?
No, I know him socially.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, we love Jim. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's in there with a snail. Probably from some movie he worked on. Hey, nice to talk to you. I'm glad we could help.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Take care. 888-724-2884. That number works all the time, but when we're live, you can get right on the show live, and when we're not on the air, you can leave a message for us. If you want to Zoom us, just as our last caller did, call.twit.tv. You'll put you in the Zoom room, and we can see your smiling face. We even take emails, atg@twit.tv. Now, Micah, you're not going to be here next week or the week after?
It's the week after.
Okay, in a couple of weeks.
So on August 4th, I will be out.
Okay. And we should mention that that would be the last Tech Guys from this studio.
Indeed.
Starting August, our last show from the studio is August 8th. I'm going to leave the fireplace here. I don't really want this. But if you want it, Micah, you can take it, okay?
Okay.
I am going to take the tidbit, though. This clock. That's,
I've already got one, so
yeah.
We'll
That's
be
why we have this.
Tidbite buddies.
Because I saw your tidbite on your set, and I said, oh, we have to have that on.
By the way, let's get this out of the way right now. tidbyt.com, because it's one of the most common questions I get.
Yes.
What is that weather thing you have behind you? It's so fun.
And it can do other things. It could show stock tickers.
You can program it too. So I've done some different little clock programs that can
all sorts of
dance
stuff.
at certain moments.
Yeah, actually probably will program it to show the current Club Twit membership numbers, things like that.
I've got the phases of the moon on there.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. It was full last night. It was beautiful. Did you see it?
Beautiful moon.
Yeah, I saw it on my tidbite.
There's the title.
The screen. What was I going to say? So again, I don't want to go back to the politics, but I thought it was very interesting that the president made his announcement on X.com.
Really? First?
That was the first place, as far as I know. That was where he announced it, according to Reuters.
These days.
So I find that fascinating. That despite all the stuff that's happened to Twitter and the renaming and so forth, it still seems to be the place people go when they want to reach a broad audience. You know why? It's because the journalists are still there. They can't leave. So August, I was starting to say something, and I'll finish it. August 8th, our last show in this studio, and then we're sending everybody home. They're still going to get paid. They're still going to have a job thanks to you Club Twit members, but we want to save the money. And frankly, nowadays at podcasting, you don't need, if you saw this studio, it's massive with lights and rigging and all sorts. You don't need that anymore. In fact, I've spent the last few days setting up my attic to be my studio. You've always had a studio at home. That's how you do iOS today. And I think almost all of our hosts are working from. I don't think anybody.
All of our other hosts.
Nobody
they don't
has
go into a studio.
Who has a studio? Nobody. So we're going to save some money, and I think appropriately, and I'll be doing it from the attic. And actually, it's kind of fun. I've been getting different kind of equipment. What really has changed over the years is remarkable. One of the things that happened when I left Tech TV and I started Twit was I thought, we could do what Tech TV did for millions of dollars for mere hundreds of thousands of dollars. We ended up spending millions, but over a period of 20 years. But now what we do with the TriCaster, we can do with Ecamm and software. What we do with our Axia, an amazing audio system. I want to buy a $300 Rodecaster Duo. What's changed is consumer technology has really advanced to the point where all of the things that we spent so much money to do in a studio, you can pretty much do at home. One of the things one of the ways I saved money when we moved from Tech TV, Tech TV, there were, just as there are still in many TV stations, big giant pedestal cameras that cost hundreds of thousands of dollars and required a camera operator to steer them. Many of the local TV stations now use robotic PED cameras, but they're still very, very expensive. I thought, well, what if we didn't have camera operators? Because humans are the most expensive thing of all. What if we just had so many cameras that we would just change the shots as John is doing right now, and that would be like we had camera operators. They never move, but that would be like we have camera operators. So there you go. See, if there weren't a camera operator, could you see my socks? So what we did is we bought 40, this is back in the brick house, 40 Canon Vixia camcorders, consumer camcorders, right, John?
Yes, HFG 10s and HFG 20s.
And they were about $800 or $900 each.
Leo,
So
I heard you say that, and I would like to correct you on that.
how much were they?
They were $1,500 each when we first bought them.
So that's $60,000.
And each one required a $500 HDMI to SDI mini converter. So each one was $2,000. if you include
I'm
the
glad I didn't know that.
Holy.
So
we bought those 40,
$80,000 on cameras.
As soon as we bought those 40, the cameras went down to $1,200, and the mini converters went down to $300.
How come you bought 40 though? Because was it for
Brick house was
backups?
big. It had like 4 or 5
The brick
sets.
house had many sets and different locations.
Got it. So
which is-
more sets than
I put
are
cameras everywhere, basically. And because there was there was just a lot of cameras. We still have, how many of the 40 do we still have? Do we know?
We probably have 20, 25.
Because they die after a while.
Yeah.
Mostly it's the power supplies that die.
Yeah.
We probably have a good number of the cameras left.
John is our studio manager. He's been with us since before that time. He's been with us since the cottage. He is going to be retiring August 8th. Well, no, actually, you can't leave yet. But he's going to, after we decommission the studio,
I can retire and then still come
And hang around.
hang out with us.
You know, before, this will be the third time I've torn down a TWiT studio.
I know.
Wow.
But the difference this time is I'm not building a new studio at the same time.
No, I'm doing that. It's a little smaller scale, a little bit easier. I only have 3 cameras, not 40 cameras. Actually, no, that's not right. I have 3 cameras plus the PTZ, 4 cameras, plus I'm going to have an Insta360 for a 360 shot. Oh, and I think I'm going to have so maybe 5, maybe 6 cameras.
I think I'll have 3 at
I have
most.
a camera problem. Anyway, what's changed is that we really can do a lot of everything that we do here a lot more simply. I did take the rusty gear home.
The smaller one, I guess.
Well, that's a 2-sided rusty gear, and we only use one side of it. So Anthony Nielsen had the other side of it in his office. I said, "Do you mind if I take that home?" So I do have the rusty gear. It's pretty big.
That's huge.
But it's made of styrofoam, so it doesn't
It's not real iron.
It doesn't weigh anything. Anyway, I think this is going to be fun. This is a kind of a transformation, like a butterfly going backwards.
What's the maximum resolution of that PTZ?
Well, the funny thing is, these cameras are all 1080i cameras.
Right.
Everything else we'll be using is
Up to
4K, but we won't be doing 4K.
Even the PTZ?
1080p. What does the PTZ do? Do you know, John? I think that's 1080p.
1080.
Yeah. It's progressive. So we're actually improving we will be using Zoom ISO as we have for a while. And as I mentioned, Ecamm will replace the TriCaster in the switching. So it's going to be
I just
different.
used Ecamm for the first time for a Zoom interview the other
very
day.
cool, isn't it?
And so for folks who watch Tech News Weekly, my chat with Lexi Savides, that was all recorded via Ecamm early ahead of the show. And so she was able to, from her end, it just looked like a Zoom call, but from my end, I was able to switch back and forth between us. I did a 2-up of the 2 of us, just using my little
Isn't that
Elgato. And yeah, we were able to switch back and forth. And then afterward, I had the full quality video files. And so that was really cool. Ecamm they have been a sponsor in the past of note, but I just wanted, they had been working on the Zoom thing for a while. And so to actually get to use it was really neat. So check out that episode of Tech News Weekly.
We should also mention that we are partnering with Restream. If you're watching us on all those different places, you're watching via Restream, which is cool. And when so the big shows like TWiT and MacBreak Weekly, and when we do those big shows, we'll be using Zoom ISO and Ecamm. But when I just toddle up to the attic, like when the CrowdStrike thing happens, and go on the air. I'll be doing that with Restream because I can do that all by myself. I don't need a TD running the eCam. So we will also be using Restream for much of our stuff. So I'm very excited. I think there's a lot of opportunity.
What's the exact model of the Canon Vixia?
We started with HFG 10s. Then they were discontinued. So most of the cameras we're using in here now are HFG 20s.
G20.
We did get an HFG 50, which was a 4K because you can't get the 20s or the 10s anymore.
Oh.
It didn't really match, though, our other cameras.
Yeah.
So we only use it when we have to.
All the cameras in my studio, except for the PTZ and maybe the 360, will be Sony cinema cams. They have a new, this Alex Lindsay recommended this. He uses it, the FX30. Sony FX30, which is intended for vloggers and streamers and people like that. So I'm kind of going more like to a Twitch streamer thing. I'm going to have colored light. No, I'm not going to.
Yeah, behind you. The colors will change when someone asks you. When somebody makes a donation to the TWiT tip jar, there'll be music that plays.
Bing, bing. By the way, Rusty Bones, who's watching on YouTube and is in our YouTube chat, we are using YouTube chat, Twitch chat, all the chats are turned on. Rusty said, I'd pay more just to make sure that TWiT survives. Look, all you have to do is join the club. You decide what you want to pay. twit.tv/clubtwit. That does make a huge difference. John, I didn't even find out. Do we have anybody joining the show today?
We do. Rod Pyle at noon.
At noon. Well, there's a lot of space talk.
Spaceman.
I have some questions for Mr. Pyle. Let me do one email real quickly since we have only done one question so far. And then Rod Pyle, Spaceman. End of life, Big Sur. Fransisco. Hello, tech guys. I've been using a 2014 MacBook Pro with Big Sur. Big Sur's done, right? End of life. It's gone. Sonoma is the current. It will be Sequoia. My questions are, should I be worried? Oh, is it safe to do online banking and online purchasing? I was going to buy a new MacBook Pro later this year. And he's smart. He says, when the M4s come out, I'm going to buy an M3. So he wants to get a deal. M4s are not going to come out this year, it looks like, probably next year. But how big of a discount will Apple give on the M3s once the M4s come out? And would I get a bigger discount if I purchased a certified refurbished M3 now? So 3 questions in there.
Wow.
First of all, security-wise, he's okay with Big Sur, right?
With Big Sur and with your browser updated to the latest version of the browser. So in the case of,
that's the real issue, by the way, and it's the same thing on the Windows side, is when the browsers stop updating.
Yeah.
Because the browser is your window to the world, which includes the bad guys.
In that case, this is a weird thing for me to say, but in that case, I would recommend installing a third-party browser like Firefox or Chrome.
Safari will
because
stop,
Safari
right?
stops updating. It'll get little updates, and you could technically download the Safari technology preview, but that's a lot to mess around with. So yeah, I think I would recommend installing a third-party browser like Firefox, Chrome, and then do your banking there in the meantime. Now, second question was when it comes to upgrading to the 3 versus the 4, what's the discount going to be like? I don't think that it's not perfectly the same.
Usually not very much.
Yeah, it's not very much, first and foremost, but also Apple changes that it doesn't seem like it's incredibly
it's unpredictable.
Yeah, thank you.
It's unpredictable.
Thank you. Words.
If you really want one, I would get an M3 now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
And refurb is fine.
Yep.
Refurb's only going to save you a few $100, but refurb means and don't get it from anybody but Apple. But Apple, honors the warranty, the full length warranty, and they've made sure to check it. Usually, a refurb from Apple means somebody bought it, didn't even open the box, or if they opened the box, didn't even turn it on, or if they turned it on, didn't use it for very long and brought it back. So this isn't for me. It was too much, or I wanted something else. So it usually is very little used. It's not really a used computer. They just can't sell it as new.
Exactly. And when it comes to that, basically you're looking at when the M4 comes out, the M3 would get that refurb discount. So you can either get the discounted refurb right now for probably about the same amount off as you would
That's
if
what
you
I would
waited.
guess. Yeah, I don't think there's any reason to wait. And why not have the nice fast computer now?
Exactly.
With Sequoia.
And then also that certainty that it's much safer than what you have.
I put the
'Cause that's a
public
big
beta
thing
for
me.
iOS 18 on my phone. And then I said, oh, what the hey? And I put it on my computers. And you know, it's
Are
great.
you doing the mirroring?
The phone projection is
I
amazing.
love it.
Love it. So, yeah, and the public beta seems fairly stable.
You don't love it?
John doesn't like it.
John does not like it. There's a thumbs down from John.
Okay, John says wait for the final. I haven't found a battery life issue with the public beta for the iPhone. That's the good news. Somebody, just before we get to Rod Pyle, somebody in our chat room is asking, where's the 6 month or 1 year purchase? I hate to say it, we used to have a 1 year deal on Club TWiT. We stopped it because I don't want to be responsible for a year from now.
Right.
I have
We
no
just don't
idea
know.
what's going to happen a year from now. So we're month to month. That way I don't have to refund you if you buy a year and in 6 months we go belly up. Folks, it's that bad. And so I'm only going month to month. Maybe if things stabilize, I have to say advertisers seem to be coming back. If everything stabilizes, although notice we have none on this show. If everything stabilizes, maybe then we can bring back the year. But at this point, the other problem with the year is we got more chargebacks on the year because somebody would buy it, $84, forget it, and then a year later go, what the heck is this? And do a chargeback. Every chargeback dings us, an event costs us money, and eventually enough chargebacks we won't be able to use credit cards anymore.
Yeah.
So that was the secondary reason. There were two really, I thought, very good reasons that we only offer month to month. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I want to point out that we also were well aware of the burden that has
Yeah.
on those folks who live
course.
outside of the U.S. We understand that by
a
doing
pain
it
in
a
the
year,
butt.
you're only getting one-time charge on your account because it's coming from a foreign transaction. We hear you. We've heard that, and it sucks. This is just how we have to do it. So just know that that is not falling on deaf ears, so to speak.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Even for people in the U.S., it's a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
I much prefer to pay for a year. But I just don't want to be in a situation where we have to refund all that money because we decided we couldn't continue. We can only, this comes out of my pocket. If I'm spending money out of my retirement, that's a problem.
Right. Yeah, you need that to retire.
Those guys, when you hear the old guys saying, I'm on a fixed income, guess what? I'm on a fixed income. So if we don't get enough membership and we don't get enough advertisers to continue, we'll have to shutter it because you're not going to work. Will you work for free, by the way? This is a binding statement.
For a period of less than a year, perhaps. No, I'm just kidding. My dogs have to eat.
You can't.
No.
You have to pay rent.
Yeah.
No one can work for free.
No.
I'm working for free and Lisa's working for free. We've been working for free for months now. That's fine. Like I said, I'm on a fixed income. I can afford it. I just spend in my retirement. My kids aren't happy. There goes the inheritance. But I can't ask anybody else to work for free. So we're hoping that you will be very generous, that you will join the club, that you'll put up with that month-to-month charge. And if you're in Europe and you don't want to do that, that's fine. I understand. The truth is, we don't need everybody to pay. Right now, it's fewer than 2% of the total audience. Mm-hmm. It's less than 2% of the total audience. If we got up to 5% of the total audience, we'd be fine. We'd be fine. So 2% covers half our payroll. 5% would cover our payroll and give Lisa and me a little bit of money. And we'd be fine, okay? Any more than that, we're going to expand, all of that. So that's all I'm saying. So I guess Rod bailed? No go on the Rod. Okay, that's fine.
Maybe
Let's take another call.
Maybe he'll appear. Yeah, we'll take a call.
If Rod appears, as one does, let us know. You know what happened? I stopped paying him, too. People don't like to work for free. Yeah. Okay.
We got a hiker with a camera. We could take their call.
Oh, look, I love it. Yeah, he's got his hand up. He's pointing at his camera. What is that he's got there?
Looks like a camera with a long zoom lens. Long zoom lens.
He's out there taking pictures. What's your first name and what's the name of the trail you're on?
Leo.
Hey.
Ika.
Hi.
It's Sony A7 IV.
Oh,
Sigma,
I'm jealous.
Sigma 150 to 600.
No, you're doing birding. Are you birding?
Tryon Creek State Natural Area, part of the Oregon State Park System.
Ooh, cool.
Are you
nice?
What are you looking for?
Well, I would say if you go fishing, you got to bring your pole.
Yeah.
But you don't always bring home a fish.
No.
So I do this hike on a regular basis, but I don't always bring home a good shot.
Yeah.
But if I don't bring my camera, I won't get it. So
that's exactly right. It's frustrating.
Are you looking for animals? Are you looking for flowers? What do you tend to be looking for?
I always say,
look at that view.
I'm looking for the light. And if the light hits a bird or if the light hits a leaf,
that's a good photographer.
I'm looking for the light.
If the light hits a raindrop the right way, I capture the light.
I love the way you're thinking. What's your first name again?
I'm Dan.
That's right. Hi, Dan. Well,
Hey, now.
Are you having a lovely hike and you still want to talk to us? I'm impressed.
It's a great hike. Leo, your whole studio move reminds me of another change. Remember when you had to strap on a whole backpack full of live streaming gear?
Yes.
Just to do a live crowd surf?
Yes.
Now you can do that with an iPhone.
It's amazing how this has all changed. That backpack was from a company called Ustream, or LiveView. I'm sorry, LiveView. I'm sure LiveView still makes stuff. Their whole premise of this was that you have multiple SIMs and you're bonding together. But remember, this is in the day of 3G. So in order to get a decent quality live stream, you had to bond together multiple. Now one is plenty with 5G, as long as you have a signal.
Wow.
And yeah, I had a camera on a monopod. And we were covering South by Southwest, and I remember somebody told me, "Oh, South by Southwest, it's all about the parties. Forget the conference. Go to the parties." So we created this whole rig.
The party rig.
The party rig. Kind of what you got there with your phone. Same thing.
Exactly. I'm doing the same thing without a backpack.
It's amazing.
Well, I have a backpack. It's got 30 pounds worth of gear, but it has nothing to do with live streaming.
Wow.
It's all that glass that's so heavy these days.
You're carrying a lot, just more than that lens, huh? You got a number of lenses in there. Wow.
Well, I've got the wide angle back there, and
wow.
I have the primes for just in case. You know how photography be.
So did you have a question for us? Anything we can help you with?
I do. So my dad, I lost him
I'm sorry.
12 years ago now, and lost my grandfather a decade before that. But they sat down drinking whiskey one night at the kitchen table at the farm, and my dad asked him questions for a couple hours and got it all on tape on microcassette.
Oh.
And I've got these microcassettes. They've been, stored. They haven't been handled. They haven't been necessarily treated with any special care, but they haven't really been moved or jostled. I'm wondering, coming from the days of radio, Leo, and bacon tapes and
bacon tapes. You know about that. Dan.
taking great care of that magnetic media.
Yeah.
Do you know of a good service, or could you recommend a good service?
For microcassettes, I don't know.
And just treat it with sort of.
So what Dan's talking about, here's what happens. On all of this tape media is they've got a mylar, a plastic backing, and then they have iron oxide particles on top of it, and it's the magnetism of the head that magnetizes the particles in direction, and then playback is just reading those magnetized particles. The problem is that as it ages, and those tapes are 20 years old at least, as it ages, the iron oxide starts to flake off. And if you have old cassette tapes or reel-to-reel tapes, even in the best conditions, eventually that's going to flake off. Now, if they've been kept dry and out of the sun, and without extremes of heat, you might be able to play them back. You hope you are. Dan's talking about an old thing we used to do. If you could only do this once. If you had a tape, my friend John Donaby up at CFRB in Canada interviewed Jimi Hendrix, and he had all those tapes in his garage. And I told him, I said, John, we got to digitize them, because once you digitize them, they can be given to everybody. They can be preserved forever. You can put them on the Internet Archive. You want that to survive. It's that fragile medium that it's on right now. If you cannot play it back because it flakes every time you play it back, you can bake it, but it only works once because as it goes over the head, it then really falls apart.
Wow!
But you can play it back once, and but that's all you need, right? If you're doing it right and you're recording it into a digital medium, you can play it back once. I never convinced John he had a garage full of these classic interviews, and I never convinced John to do that, but maybe we could do that with your micro cassette.
I feel like I could try it and, maybe even get one play out of them, but what happens?
Well, do you have a microcassette player?
I have the same player that everything was recorded on.
That's
it's all in one unsealed bag.
Right.
So,
have
there's
you
no
digitized
moisture.
them yet?
No. And
that's where you should start.
Instead of me trying to play them once and maybe ruining them, I thought if I could pay some, sort of best practices, professional studio that does this stuff for a living, they would know how to handle that stuff and would put it into their workflow and capture that and have the best shot at getting it. It may not be recoverable.
Look at this.
Or I could do it myself. I just
Tape
don't know.
Guy 89125 in our Discord says, I was an engineer for BASF Mag Tape Division. Tape can last for many years. I have tapes that are 60 years old and can still play. He recommends legacybox.com.
Okay.
Legacy, but then this is a guy who knows. He worked at BASF. That's awesome.
And I've heard of those guys too.
Sure, I had BASF cassettes and reel-to-reel tape. Wow, that's wonderful.
And Legacy Box, that's one of those where you just send a box of whatever you got, and they'll
Yep.
just
they
capture
send you a little kit,
convert, and
put it in. Yep.
And do they do microcassettes? I mean, it's really risky. Who knows?
Yeah,
if
they do. They do microcassettes.
I would call them and tell them the story. And see, they're not going to make a guarantee. Oh, boy, you really want that tape. Have you ever listened to it?
I did. Boy, we lost my grandfather in probably 94.
So it's 30 years
I think
old.
I probably listened to him in like 96.
Yeah.
And then when my dad died, it was just, part of his collection of dongshi or goods from his lifetime.
Wow.
You know dongshi?
I
Leon,
don't.
you're Chinese, actually.
Yeah, what is
Dongshi.
I can tell it's Chinese. What does it mean?
I think it means things, or
Stuff.
I've adapted it to mean stuff, like ephemera.
Yeah, yeah.
And throughout China, when I was backpacking in China in the early 90s, I had a little sack, and somebody called it my dongshi bag. And I said,
I love it.
What is that? And it's my little bag of things. I had my wallet and my passport and my little things that if I lost everything and I had my dongshi bag, I'd be good.
Wow. That's a great story. And I love the story of the tape. We had it for years in the family. Grand Mary would tell a little poem about a turkey every year at Thanksgiving. And one year, many moons ago, somebody recorded Grand Mary's turkey tale. And I was fortunate enough to digitize that before the cassette fell apart. It is so worth getting this stuff, whether it's slides, photos, audio, into digital form, because then it can live forever,
Well, if Tape Dude 69 says go to Legacy Box.
Sounds like Tape Dude 69 knows what he's talking about. Legacy Box. Rusty Bones says they're really good to preserve any recorded material, photos, slides, etc. So there's 2 recommendations.
It's kind of a cool idea too, because it can be mixed media. They do it by item. So you get a box, and the smallest box is 2 items. So you put 2 items in there, you send them away, they digitize those things.
How cool. Yeah,
I think I have I think there's a dozen cassettes in there, and I think 3 or 4 are their conversations.
Wow.
I have no idea what's on the other ones, but they're all.
Do you remember from listening in '96? Do you have some sense of what it was like, what the conversation is?
Imagine a son and father sitting around the farm
What
dinner
a thing
table
to have.
where they grew up. My dad grew up there. It was a century farm in southeast Minnesota. And my dad asked him questions for 2 hours.
Wow.
About family, about the farm.
So your dad had some sense of history as well. I mean, he knew this was his, the last chance to get granddad's recollections. Wow, that's wonderful.
You know what? My dad and I would sit down and watch on cable TV together, Leo.
What?
What was your first?
The screensavers?
What was that?
Oh, the site.
The screensaver.
The screensavers.
The site? Well, the screensavers was on God, what was that cable TV station?
Tech
I can't remember the name of the network.
ZD TV. Yeah.
Before Paul Allen bought it.
Yep. Wow.
And he was a tech guy. I'm in computers because he bought me my very first computer, the Atari 400.
My first as well. Yep.
I typed out in BASIC. I would program games from BASIC magazine.
Yep.
All while he would stand over my shoulder and make sure I recorded what I did on that cassette tape properly. So he got me into this tech thing, and he had a sense of history. And as I'm in my aging years now, and I can relate more and more to what he was doing at the time. He was probably close to my age when he did this, and that sense of history. And my son is now.
I think that's what happens as you get older.
About to turn 20.
Yeah, when you're 20, you don't care. No. But it's always the elders in the family that remember, that try to preserve these memories. I think because we realize we're going to be gone soon too, and we want people to remember us. But it's a natural inclination, and I'm really glad you have that on cassette. And now, folks, you could start digital and stay digital, but do it. Go sit down with your elders and ask them stories. I've done this with my mom. It's really a wonderful thing to do.
We did it with our family photo albums. When we had to sell the big house and my mom moved to a smaller apartment, we had an entire closet full. The top shelf had, there were numbered albums, probably going up into the 50s or 60s in total number of albums. You remember those with like the cellophane type stuff?
Oh, yeah. My mom has a whole stack at the home that I've been meaning to bring in. I'm going to send them a legacy box, I guess, and digitize them.
Yeah. I had a little local company digitize all of that for us.
Oh, nice.
And they preserved the album order and, said, all right, in this subfolder, we've put everything in album 32.
Nice.
And so they're still kind of in the same order as those albums, but, they were yellowing and deteriorating. And so we did capture all those, which I feel lucky to have done.
Dana, I'll let you get back on your hike. It's a beautiful day in Oregon. I'm so glad you could share it with us. And save that cassette. That's wonderful. Oh, look at that.
So Legacy Box, what was the other one?
That's the only one.
That's the one we recommend, legacybox.com.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to contact them. Thanks guys.
Take care. Remember, our regular caller, Susan, does this also. In fact, Lisa just sent a bunch of family photos to Susan.
Oh, nice.
And she does the same thing. She not only scans them, but she looks at the order in the album and looks at the back, notes around it and so forth to preserve the kind of the contextual. That's a librarian for you. Preserve the context. Very nice. 888-724-2884. You don't have to be on a hike. You can just be calling us. We'll have more of your calls in just a moment. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys, Micah Sargent and Leo Laporte. John, what should we do next? Who's going to edit this show?
Kevin.
Okay.
We have
takes a village.
Voicemails. We have emails.
Let's do a voicemail. I like voicemails.
All right.
Here's a
This
voicemail.
is from Jim in Louisville, it looks like.
Yeah.
Hi, Leo and Micah. Jim Height from Louisville, Kentucky.
Oh, I know Jim.
Question about my Apple Watch. I can't seem to hear the text tone. I have tinnitus, and when I try to hear a message coming in, I never hear it unless I have my hearing aids in. Is there any way around that? I can't seem to change the text tone for the watch. Thank you much. Enjoy the show.
Thank you, Jim. We appreciate it. There's haptics.
Yep.
So it'll buzz you as well as here. I also have tinnitus. That's that ringing in the ears. It must be hitting at the exact frequency of the tinnitus, because I can hear these the bings pretty well. But it's nice. You could turn on the haptics. How does he do that? Is that a setting on the app, or is that a setting on the watch?
It's a setting on your phone in the watch app.
Okay.
I believe it's either under notifications or if there's sounds on there. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Let's go to notifications. There is an indicator, red dot, which is nice. So you can always see that, and I have that turned on.
But if you go to messages, does it?
Yeah, maybe I have to go to messages. Mirror my phone, repeat alerts once. There must be another section.
Yeah,
for
check
haptics.
that. I don't have my phone.
Yeah, gestures. Here it is. Sounds and haptics.
There we go.
Okay. So if you turn on haptic alerts, in fact, I would suggest making them prominent. Can you see over the shoulder? Is it?
I was wondering about AirPlay because you had that turned on.
Oh, you want me to AirPlay it? Oh, you're getting fancy.
I have over the shoulder too.
I can AirPlay it. Let me just this is fancy schmancy. So let me go back. I'm in the Apple Watch app. Can you see that now, John? No, you can't.
Okay, I routed back to the overhead. I can route back to AirPlay.
Oh, I see. It's one or the other.
Limited number of inputs.
I get it. Okay. Sounds and haptics. There we go. And
first
haptic
of all,
alerts.
At the top, you can turn up the volume. That's the first thing you can do.
Oh, well, that's good. All right. Silent mode will not mute alarms and timers. Okay, we don't care about that. Headphone safety. That's so you don't get tinnitus. Kids, protect your ears. Haptic alerts, turn those on. I made them prominent, as you can see.
Yeah, so default, it'll just do a little bit of a buzz, but prominent, buzz, 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 it will really let you know.
And I have them turned on for system as well. So I like to feel it in my wrist, and I do.
At all times.
What do you use? I'm just curious what you use as your watch face. See what
I used to use that one, but I recently made the switch to Modular Ultra.
Modular Ultra.
And
ooh, that's pretty.
I really like it because I get a big old calendar view right in the middle. And I live and die by my calendar, so it's
that's smart.
And I have it set to this nice green color. So my watch is always green, which is how I like things.
For a long time, you would ask people what was on the homepage of their phone. Now it's like, what watch face? I might switch over to
that used to be my watch face of choice, but I just recently started doing Modular Ultra. Yeah. And I really like the seconds around the outside.
It looks like I have customized it, so I must have used it at some point. There's my wife, so if I want to text her, I just tap that. Voice memos, if I want to record a quick voice memo.
Looks like drafts.
Activity.
Top right.
Drafts is another way I have of kind of keeping track of things. I don't know what that is.
Weather in the top left.
What is that? Let's go to complications here.
Bottom left looks like start an exercise.
Yes,
that is. And I don't know what that middle one is from here.
Yeah, but I also, as you can see, I have my calendar. Where's complications?
Calendar right in the middle.
Temperature. Oh, the top one's flighty. Now I change that if I'm not flying around.
Makes sense,
right?
Yeah.
So I might make that. I don't know. I'll make that my car so I can unlock my car.
Nice.
And then top right is capture for drafts. Drafts is a third-party tool that's really nice. The idea was capture everything in drafts, and then afterwards when you go home, you can assign it to different applications like reminders. So you can send it as
a tweet. You can email it. You can put it in reminders.
Middle is today's date. Don't I want that to be the calendar?
Or something, anything else. Just because it's so powerful that you... Yeah. Well, even launch Fantastical is not great.
No, because that just launches it.
Yeah, you want
I want it
next.
to be Fantastical.
So if you go to
say up next,
go to up next or up next timeline.
What's the up next timeline?
Up next timeline not only shows you what you have up next, but it also gives you kind of a timeline of how your day's
So I want more data, right?
Exactly.
Always more.
Always more data.
Set as current watch face.
AMD.
Look at that.
Data.
Always more data. Come on.
Now, I have mine. You have yours set to multicolor right now. I feel like it's a little overwhelming.
You don't like all that color?
Yeah, I keep mine all one
monochrome?
color. Yeah.
Oh, it's boring.
Mine's like green.
I thought you were more excited. So I guess I can't. It's not working to set it there. So let's just set it here. There you go.
Nice.
Isn't that pretty?
So pretty.
It is very colorful. I like it colorful.
That's fine. That's fine.
You make it all the same color.
Yeah,
huh?
I feel like it's easier to read when it's all one color.
Huh. Okay. If you say so.
But that's me,
I'll try it. You know what? You're smart. I'll try it as my the monochrome as your recommendation. Do we have? Let me do an email. How about that?
Let's do an email.
I'm trying to mix it up, you know, like a salad. Here from David from Chester in the UK.
Hello, David.
Hi, Leo and Mike. I love the show. Do you guys know if there's an app or a website? I'm sounding like the... Do you guys know if there's an app or a
the
website
Queen's brother
I can use to track a library of books? In my case, cooking books.
Sorry, an Apple website?
An app or website.
Oh, app or website.
An app or a website that I can use to track a library of books. In my case, cookbooks. More importantly, I'm hoping to be able to search the index pages for a recipe. I collect cookbooks, you know. Old and new, there's something great about finding an exciting new recipe in a book on my travels. The issue is I have many books now, and I struggle to find a recipe when I want it. The perfect app would let you scan the cover and index pages of all your books and then let you search, perhaps by ingredients or dish name. Surely such an app must exist. Thank you for any guidance you can offer. Take care. David from Chester in the UK.
You're asking for a lot, David. I'm sorry. So
I'd like to have all my books on the wall indexed by date.
Yeah,
I don't think nothing that I know of.
No, because it's such a specific thing. So
what you want is the ebook version of all of those.
Exactly. You want the ebook version of all of your cookbooks because then you could just do a search and you'd be able to find it that way.
You could use Calibre or Calibre, Calibre.
I want to say, by the way,
free open source program that you can use.
You made me feel so much better about myself because
that's my job.
I can remember, this goes all the way back to middle school. In middle school, I worked in the library at school. Like that was one of my little things that I got to do. Nice. And thought it was the coolest thing. I started a little library at home with our books and got it all set up in Calibre. But since middle school, I have always pronounced it in my head as Calibre. And then I don't remember who it was, but there are some people online who are pedants.
I'm sorry, it's pronounced Calibre.
Yeah, just railed and went in on me and made me feel so stupid about it.
It's a play on words.
And when you said, yes, that it's a play on words and Libre,
yes,
then I thought, you know what? I feel so much better about myself. And there was a little bit of like late high school trauma that was removed from me at that moment.
I'll tell you two things. One, the reason I say sometimes Calibre is because if you said caliber, that's in the U.S. anyway, spelled C-A-L-I-B-E-R, and calibre is L-I-B-R-E. So always I try to pronounce something so you can kind of intuit how to spell it.
Yeah.
Which is...
Because this is an audio medium and you need to know.
Yeah. So that's an old habit. The other thing I would say is that people who are very well read often know many, many words they've never heard pronounced out loud. In fact, when somebody mispronounces a big word, I usually think that's a very intelligent person.
I agree.
Who is very well read. And how would you know how to pronounce that if you see that word in print and you would make up your own pronunciation? So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think it's a sign of deep reading and great intelligence.
Yeah, I agree.
So there.
So
But I also will say that after 50 years in radio, I've kind of gotten pretty good at pronouncing, cold reading and pronouncing words, because that's part of the job, especially, last names and things like that. So I kind of take some pride in pronouncing words correctly. And when I do catch myself or get caught mispronouncing a word, I feel very bad about myself. For a long time, and I still believe this is correct, I would say we have some ad copy that says processes, and I would say processes. which I believe is correct. But that's just me.
Did you know that the plural of octopus
is octopi?
Is octopodes.
Octopodes?
Because it is a Greek, Greek root.
You're right.
Octopodes.
Octopodes would be correct. That's right. Anthropa, anthropou, anthropos, anthropou. Yes. We had this conversation on Twig with the plural for corpus.
Oh, which is what, Christy?
You know from your Latin, it is corpori.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Corpori, yeah.
All right.
So what? To answer your question, no.
Epitome is a good one. A lot of people say epitome.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Because who says epitome in the real world? So you don't know how to pronounce it. That's all that means is you're smarter than the average bear. You've read a lot of books. Boo-boo. You know a word.
You're smarter than the average bear. You
just never learn how to pronounce it.
You are the epitome of bears.
Kubernetes means helmsman. That's a good name.
We learn things all the time.
All the time. There is an option for octopi and octopuses, also correct because of standardized pluralization.
Correct. Modern English would allow for those.
Thank you, Discord.
But yes,
no, that's Twitch. Thank you, Twitch.
The plural of which is
FPG2, FPG22.
Twitchers.
Twitch eyes. I kind of like octopus.
I just really like how octopodes sounds.
Octopodes.
I just think it's so. Octopus probably one of my favorite creatures in existence, and octopodes just sounds so cool.
I have, after seeing my octopus tutor, stopped eating octopus.
Good.
They're too smart to eat.
They are very intelligent creatures.
They are delicious.
I've never had and never will.
But I won't anymore. No. I feel guilty eating them.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
But yes, going back, no, there's not an app that does that by default.
We had a question. I forgot. We got sidetracked a little bit. Rat hole.
I think that if you wanted to put in the work, you could just in even Apple Notes. If you're an iOS user, there's this great feature in Apple Notes where you tap and hold while you're in Notes, and you can choose scan documents, and you could easily take a photo of the front page, it makes a scan of it, and then take a photo of the index, it makes a scan of it. Apple's iOS does automatic OCR, and then from there, you could do those searches. But you said you wanted to even be able to type in ingredients and find the recipes that have that. That's not something that there's an app for.
AI will be able to do that someday.
That's true, eventually.
David, just hang in there. And you'll be able to ask your AI pal, Scarlett, how do you make potato niçoise? And then Scarlett will say, well, David, I can tell you that. The problem is really what I like to call an impedance mismatch. You've got a printed book and you've got...
Sorry. He's a Yale man.
I like to call it an impedance mismatch.
Which is what everyone should call it.
That's what everyone calls it, isn't it? No, because you have this old school printed book with this modern, and you have this modern concept that I should be able to search. But that belongs to a later era.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do we 888-724-2884, John? It looks like we have some calls in here. Hey, what's your first name and where are you calling from?
My name is Jeff. I'm calling from Metro Detroit, St. Clair Shores, Michigan.
Hello, hi, Jeff.
First off, if I forget to do this, I'll be in big trouble. My wife is a huge fan, and we've been listening and watching. She watches and listens much more than I do.
Oh, nice. What's her name?
But Kim.
Hi, Kim. Hi, Jeff. Welcome. She's laughing. I heard her laugh.
Hi, Kim.
Kim. Hi. Get on over there. Get in the camera shot. Come on.
She's in the living room. Okay. Excuse me.
It's so cute.
I was a teacher and just retired. I acquired a business where we record high school marching band events, festivals.
Fun.
And then there are judges that speak into a hand. Right now we use like an Olympus handheld recorder USB, and we put everything on a thumb drive. I actually, when you're having your Canon HD or Vixia G20 conversation. That's what I have, about 6 of them.
Oh, wow.
And
they were good camcorders, but nobody even makes camcorders, I think. It's kind of
and that's what I'm running into, because I'm on a budget. I can't necessarily go out, and we're not looking for a 4K video. Directors want to see how the bands looked, say 30-yard line, 20, even goal line. Sometimes we can't get that wide.
Right.
And so what our current setup is to use those Canons and usually some condenser mics running into either a cheap mixing board or audio interface through a Mac is what I use from time to time. But what I'm wondering is what suggestions would there be that might be that at least give me a decent product, because I don't want to put a cruddy product, out there for the directors, but at the same time, we have to be cognizant of the file size, because we upload it onto a thumb drive the day of the event so that guys can take it home.
I mean, is there some reason you don't use a smartphone? I'm just showing you right now the super wide 0.5x on the iPhone. Let me turn it this way. And it's wide enough that you would catch the whole field if you were at the, even if you were right at the sideline, you'd probably catch 75 yards of the field. It's pretty darn wide. Is there some reason you don't use a smartphone to do this?
Well, again, I just acquired the business. It's kind of a learning curve for me.
So that's what I would say. I mean, honestly, that's why nobody makes camcorders anymore. Everybody has a very competent video recorder, which incidentally does a pretty darn good job with sound as well in their pocket.
Probably another detail that would help this conversation is I have about 15 guys that do it throughout the state. And so we need a consistency of product. So I think that was partially the reason that we have the Canons.
Sure.
I used my Samsung Fold, and that was marvelous. I used it as a backup because when luckily I had that, because we couldn't get the camera.
Well, see, that's perfect, but it worked, I bet, very nicely, didn't it?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So any Samsung or a modern iPhone would give you very nice wide angle. You can buy external microphones if you want, but you probably don't need it. Ambient sound is probably sufficient. They just want to hear the band, right?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I have AT2020 microphones that I use for inside for the concert band festival.
So you don't need that. It's just for the outside. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the iPhone is designed. It does a very good job with concert audio because it has a good limiting. Because, normally a marching band is going to be so loud that it's going to overmodulate it. But I know the iPhone does a very good job because I've recorded at live concerts, like at the Madonna concert, and it worked beautifully. I was like blown away. I'm sitting right next to the speakers and the limiting built into the iPhone. They tout that. So, I mean, honestly, $800 or $900 for one of these phones is about what you'd pay for a camera. It's got built-in recording, and because it's you don't have to get it on the network, on the cell network, but if you do, then it's very fast turnaround because you can upload it instantly, or you can even be streaming it. Are there standalone camcorders that you could use? Well, yeah, I mean, plenty of them. In the higher end, you might want to look at the Sony vlogging camera. What is the? Is it the VX1? Sony makes a $600. Well, it was $600 on Prime Day anyway. $600 vlogging camera that is a still camera, but it's designed for video.
Is it the ZV-1?
That's it, the ZV-1.
$400 at Best Buy right now.
Very nice camera, has wide angle, has good microphone. It's designed for vloggers, for video bloggers. So it's designed to do exactly kind of what you're talking about. And it's a more kind of a camera. So it's more, maybe a more comfortable thing than trying to hold your phone. It also looks a little more professional, than holding the phone.
And I think that was part of the reason that
that's dopey. That's what every
anybody could use
every
their
parent
phone.
Every parent is doing that.
You for
well, that was for years, by the way, why camera operators were carrying these big Betacam SP decks. They're 50 pounds because they didn't want to look. But even though the quality would be better with one of these little rigs like this, you see it's got a muff on the microphone. You could, you want to make it a little more professional. You could get a small camera rig to put around it, and you could add a monitor, a little video monitor on top, so it'd be easier to see what you're getting. You could make it more professional looking than the band parent's camera. Of course, there's always going to be a band parent who's going to have better gear than you do, I'm sure.
It seems that way, yes. Yeah, there's always one. Can I sit up right next to you? Yeah. So the other challenge is I'm trying to make a transition from thumb drive. So I have, the Canons have dual SD card slots. So one SD card slot works as the backup, and I just record every band.
That's really
that
nice.
one.
Yeah.
And then the other one, I interchange with the other tech that is there, and he's taking the judge's comments and my video, and he puts it all on a thumb drive.
Wonderful.
But, obviously we'd like to make the transition to putting that all on a drive, Google Drive, or on the cloud somehow.
So they can just download it. That's the future, isn't it? Why give them a thumb drive?
Yeah, because most of the stadium, the press boxes we go to, they all have Wi-Fi now.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I have to check and see the speed, I think, but
you go to a sporting event. I've seen this at NFL games. The photographer standing there on the sidelines. He's got somebody behind him holding him so that if because the photographer's not paying attention, if a big old linebacker comes his way, he can yank him back. But the other thing that guy's doing is a runner. So every quarter, the photographer will pull out a card, put in a new card, and give it to the guy behind him, and he runs it up to the box where they can upload it to the newspaper. So your idea is perfectly reasonable. The Sony does not have dual card slots to my memory, unfortunately. That's a nice feature of the Canon. But you don't want everybody to have a Canon. That's a little too expensive, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, and I didn't know if there's a way to record to an external hard drive. Backup is the issue.
Yeah, so you want to get fancy.
You want to get fancy?
You get a small rig. It's called Small Rig. That's the company. They make rigs for these cameras, the Sony ZV-1. You put in a rig, and the rig has attachments for external hard drive, microphone, a monitor. You can make it look like you guys are really pros, but it could also have a recorder on there that could have SD cards in it that you could pop. I don't think the Sony has wireless. I bet you there are cameras though that you could. That's something somebody should do if they don't do it already. Stream to Google Drive.
I think you might be able to do it via, so if you have the Sony and you have the app on your phone.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to the app on your phone that then syncs to Google Drive or some third-party service.
Yeah.
I purchased some Zoom Q2N 4K cameras. I haven't really tried them out. They're real small, only because, I don't know that much about the cameras, and they were, $200.
Do they still make those? That's interesting. That was, remember the flip cam? This was a very popular, there you go.
Yeah, talk about a
very
throwback.
Popular camera option a few years ago. Again, all of this has been killed by the smartphone. Nobody needs anything more than a smartphone, really, these days for video. They even make movies. In fact, the entire Apple presentation last time on AI was shot on an iPhone.
Yeah.
I mean, the quality is amazing on these things.
Yeah,
what they almost universally have, though, is a small rig cage that has additional stuff hanging off of it. So I would look at. I think that ZV-1 is actually exactly what you want.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure it gets wide enough. Get a cage for it. A company called Small Rig makes them. And the one reason I know this is I just bought for my Sony FX30, which is the ones. Those are also cinema cams. They're about 3 times more expensive. Those are the ones I'm going to use to shoot in the home studio. And with every one of them, I got a small rig because it goes around it, it fits it perfectly, and then it has lots of 1/4-20, places that you could screw things in. And what a lot of people do is they'll have a larger monitor screwed on. This is the kind of thing Alex Lindsay would be really good at. That's another suggestion. If you know about office hours, go to officehours.global. They do Zoom every morning Pacific time, and you can go into the Zoom call You can get an invitation by going to officehours.global. And I think there's a link says join us. You get a link to the Zoom call. You can go in and you can say this exact question to them, and you will get 30 people, including people who are technical directors for the NFL, people who do sound for movies, every possible person in the video trades is there, and they will have many suggestions for you.
Yep.
Yeah. In fact, way too many. Do you have a budget per person for this?
Well, here's the thing. As I get new people, I am trying to get them the equipment. The guys that have been doing this for a while, some have their own,
right,
and they have their own system.
Yeah, let them do that. You don't want to.
They do their thing. So no, actually, I'm trying to figure out what it is I would need to
What
get,
is the budget?
And then, and then set my budget by that.
I like these ZV-1s for $400. That's an amazing price.
Yeah.
I think the cameras that I bought, and they don't include a lens, so you got to consider that. The Sony FX30 is APS-C, so it's got a bigger sensor instead of the 1-inch sensor in the ZV-1. But they're $1,600. Then you have to buy a lens. You're going to talk at least $2,000 per camera. They even make the FX3, which is a full-frame sensor. These are all cinema cameras, though. And the reason you want to get a cinema camera, Canon makes them and Nikon makes them as well. But the cinema-focused cameras will let you record more than half an hour. And that's obviously really important to you. I think I would focus on those cinema models as opposed to a still. Which Canon are you using right now?
The G20.
Okay. That's really nice. Right. Yeah, and that will record more than half an hour at a time, right?
Yeah.
That's a point and shoot. I mean, that's a very, very good one. Basically, the ZV is just is kind of the same thing, but a later generation. That's all.
Okay.
The Zoom 4K is interesting because Zoom, I'm seeing this in our Twitch, focuses on sound. So
and it's also discontinued by Zoom.
Yeah. I have a Zoom audio recorder that I love. I have several, actually. I love what they do. And their 32-bit audio recording is a very good idea for you because of the sound pressure levels from those bands. You don't have to worry about that. It has so much headroom that you don't even set the volume. You just record, and everything is recorded without clipping. So if 32-bit float is a very nice feature, I don't think it's on the Zoom 4K, but all of the new Zoom gear, all of their new Zoom field recording gear has a 32-bit float. You can get, and I have one of those, like the Zoom field recorders, I think I have an F3, that will use good mics, can have shotgun mics, has 32-bit float, and is designed, it has a Q20 hole. It's designed to attach to a small rig underneath the camera. It's designed for that. It's a field recorder for that. So Zoom has some very good stuff, especially if you say, I need the best possible audio, then I would get a Zoom audio recorder.
You can have a couple of those.
Yeah. I love my F3. That thing is amazing. You can't clip it. And for a marching band, that's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I used to do. What did you teach when you taught?
I was a high school band director for 20 some years, and then the last 26 years. In the last 3 or 4 years, I taught STEAM or STEM.
Oh, nice.
For K-5 students.
Oh, how fun! Cool. That must have been fun.
Yes, it was. There's a learning curve, as with everything, but. Sure. I taught high school, and people would, they always say, roll their eyes, oh, freshmen, or whatever. But I say that, kindergarten teachers, there's a special place in heaven for them.
Yeah, I agree.
Because kindergarten, oh my goodness, it's like, it was herding cats.
Yeah. But cute cats, really cute cats.
Yes, very cute cats that have absolutely no filter.
Wow. Yeah. Yes. There is a special place in heaven for all teachers. Thank you for the service and those many generations of kids who learned at your feet and have a better life because of it. I think you've made a big difference in their lives. And I think this sounds like a great retirement plan, a fun business.
Yeah.
What's Kim going to do?
Well, Kim is still teaching music.
Oh, nice.
And she's got a few elementary music. She's done that for quite some time. She has a few more years. And then, but both our kids are married or close to married. So
Nice.
we're at that stage of
I know that stage.
possible.
Yeah.
She's sneaking in here. She can't.
I want to see Kim.
He can't.
Come on, Kim. I heard that. Little, just the top of her head. That's all. Hi, Kim.
Hi. So nice to see you.
Nice to see you. And I was thanking you and Jeff for the good work that you guys have done over the years. Oh, she can't hear
As
me.
teachers, yes.
As teachers. Teachers are probably the most important profession in the world. Thank you for your contribution. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say.
Thank you, Kim. Nice to talk to you both.
Yeah, great question.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, I think that's fun.
Yeah.
I think that's fun. Were you in marching band? You looked like you were.
Do I not? I do, but I was not, sadly.
You didn't play the clarinet in marching band?
It's funny that you said clarinet because a friend of mine who's in band was like, if you played an instrument, it would be a clarinet.
Clarinet, right? Doesn't he look like a clarinetist?
Look like a clarinet player. Oh.
You're watching, what do I look like? A tuba player, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Trying to think of what. Yeah, maybe a flautist.
Flautist? You're watching the flautist.
I have no idea.
And the clarinetist.
A trumpet player.
Yeah, trumpet.
I can see you doing the trumpet.
There's
yeah.
an instrument. Ask the trombone. Okay. Addison says I should be accordion. Okay. Talk me out of this. I was thinking of getting an accordion.
Why would I talk you out of it? That sounds so fun.
I'd have to take lessons.
You need
obviously.
to learn. Yeah.
It's probably a pretty hard instrument because you're not only
so
playing
many,
the piano, you're also playing the holes.
There's a lot going on, and you got to do this at the right time too.
I think I could do that.
Maybe start with a theremin.
This is Ask the Tech Guys. I just thought for my retirement, like
maybe start with piano and then
just start with the piano first.
Do accordion. I don't know though. Maybe accordion's easier.
Who plays the accordion out here? Anybody? If you play the accordion,
yeah, let us know.
Is it better to start with piano and then move to accordion? But that's like playing a piano.
Is it better to start with bagpipes and then move to accordion?
My college roommate played bagpipes
at night and in the morning only exclusively.
That was okay.
I think it's hard to make it sound good, but when it does, I'm impressed.
Oh yeah, yeah. And he would practice.
And bring me tears.
You can practice without the horns, so it just like sounds like a really annoying nasally reed instrument.
The instrument that I think gets too much guff that I love the harpsichord. I love the harpsichord.
Who gives the harpsichord guff?
Almost everyone I say that to is like, you like the harpsichord?
Ever.
That sounds terrible.
Oh, I love the harpsichord.
Goodness, I love harpsichord.
Yeah, you have good taste.
Thank you.
Wow. One Brian in our Twitch said his dad used to play drums for Myron Florin, the Polka King. Polka
no one
drums
apparently plays accordion.
No, there are no accordionists. I used to have a guy come on the radio show because, we have the Cotati Accordion Festival coming up.
Actually, I just learned about that.
Yes.
I just learned about that.
And Tom was famous for playing with a band called Those Damn Accordions. I said it was Those Darn Accordions. But they were an accordion band, which is...
That's cool. Honestly, I think
sounds annoying to me.
Maybe harmonica.
I play the harmonica.
Oh, you do?
Actually, yeah.
Nice.
John, help
Do you just blow into it or do you play it?
No, I could play a tune. There it is. The Cotati Accordion Festival's coming up August 16th through 18th at the Plaza Park. Hundreds of accordionists will show up.
Dang it. I wish I was going to be in town.
You're not going to be in town for that?
In town.
You missed the last
live
few.
stream it.
You had a chance.
Got to live stream it for me.
I will. I'll go on over there.
Maybe if you got some video, I would love
cameras.
to see some video of it.
John, what should we do next?
Well, we got callers. We got.
What do we have? Do we have anybody at 1?
Nope.
No, just one. We had one guest today.
He didn't show up.
Any more voicemails?
Yep.
I'd love to hear another
Let's hear
voicemail.
one.
Guys, this is Ann in Antioch.
Hi, Ann in
I have
Antioch.
a question about my new state-of-the-art garage door opener that was installed by this wonderful guy yesterday in over 110-degree temperatures.
Wow.
Anyway, after it was installed, he told me I should download the MyQ app, which I did.
Yeah.
And it was asking me a couple of questions, my name and stuff, and it got to a point where it asked me if I wanted to allow or don't allow Bluetooth. And in his instructions, the installer only mentioned Wi-Fi, nothing about Bluetooth.
Right.
So I didn't know what to do. So I clicked on allow. Did I need to allow, or should I not have
That's
allowed?
a great question.
Bluetooth.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
That's my question. If I needed to, did I do anything bad by allowing Bluetooth? Thanks.
And what a great
I really
question.
enjoy your show. I've been listening to you since you were on KGO back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Way back in the day.
It's
Very
a great
nice.
question. Yeah.
Yes.
So, no, you didn't do anything bad. And
You did the right thing.
Yeah, you did the right thing. First and foremost, even if the app didn't actually need Bluetooth, which we'll talk about in a second where that comes into the process, the most that an app would gain about you by having access to Bluetooth is just the Bluetooth devices that are around you. Some companies will use that information to try and figure out a little bit about you so that they can maybe figure out, oh, this is the same person who used this app yesterday that we showed an ad to. And so even in the case where an app doesn't need Bluetooth, by giving Bluetooth, you're not doing anything, you're not giving access to anything truly nefarious. It's not going to, result in them being able to scrape a bunch of data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But many a smart home device, many a connected device is going to use Bluetooth as part of the pairing process.
It's part of the
initial handshake. And it is because they need to be able to communicate with one another before you actually get it set up with Wi-Fi. So if you think about it, your garage door opener doesn't yet have access to your Wi-Fi network. It doesn't know what your Wi-Fi network is called. It doesn't know what the password is. It doesn't know anything yet. And your phone and it need to be able to talk to each other some way before that Wi-Fi connection can be made. So they will typically use Bluetooth. The device on the other end says, hey, I'm here. And your phone says, hey, I'm looking for you. And they find each other, they talk, and then you can send that information to the Wi-Fi or to the device, and it can then connect to Wi-Fi.
So MyQ is from LiftMaster, I think. There are only really a handful of garage door opening companies. They're all owned by everybody. And MyQ works with most garage doors. I have a MyQ garage door. It's the same thing.
I use one with my third-party garage door opener as well.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a LiftMaster. That's you answered exactly right. It's just part of it's in case, they had to get the Wi-Fi, get to the Wi-Fi. They have to, do that.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. If your Wi-Fi is not working, it's possible that when you're close enough to the garage door, it could still make a Bluetooth connection and let you open up the garage door.
I'm logging into MyQ and I'm going to open my garage door and close it just to give Lisa the willies.
That's mean. It's good you don't have dogs because then you go.
Great question. Thank you, Ann in Antioch. And I'm sorry about the weather.
Yeah, but good to have that skepticism. Let's be clear about that. You are trying to protect.
It is. That's smart.
Yeah, the fact that you said, "Do I need to turn this on?" That's good. Keep that.
Yeah. And I think usually, would be my guess, you could turn it off afterwards, right?
Yeah. In fact, why not, afterward, go into the settings, find MyQ in the list, tap on it, and then look for Bluetooth permission, turn it off, and see what happens.
Yeah.
If you're no longer able to open or close the garage door, then you know that it's part of the process going forward, but it should be able to do it over Wi-Fi. But yeah, if you're ever worried about it, you can always turn it off afterward.
888-724-2884 is the phone number. You can do as Ann did, call during the week and leave a message. But if you're calling right now during our broadcast hours, which are 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time on Sundays, you could talk to us directly. In fact, that's exactly what John's looking at me like, what? Poor John, you're doing this all by yourself today. Normally we have a team of 23 people working on the show, and John's like an octopus.
Yeah.
Fortunately, they're very smart.
They have so many arms.
And don't worry, I won't eat you.
And no legs.
Really? Those aren't legs?
They're
Those are
all
arms?
Yeah.
Is that technically the...
That's, yeah. What is it? Anatomically speaking.
What
they're
makes
arms.
them legs? Is it if they walk on them?
It's not that they're not legs. There's a reason they are arms, but I can't remember what it is. I'll tell you off the top of my head. I do not
They can
recall.
throw a baseball with each of them.
It has to do with grasping as opposed to just ambulation, I'm pretty sure.
This week in Octobities.
Yeah, exactly.
Richard has joined us.
Hello, Richard.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Wonderful. Where are you calling from?
Jackson, Tennessee.
Did you have to check the street sign to know? Welcome.
No. Sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, here's my situation.
Okay.
I just bought a S24 Ultra on Prime Day.
Yay.
Oh.
And every time I go to open YouTube, the entire phone just shuts down and resets itself. That's the only flaw I'm having with that.
That's really bad. He's talking about the Galaxy S24, and the Ultra is the top of the line. It's a very nice device. But that's not how it's supposed to act. So I presume you've tried uninstalling YouTube and reinstalling it.
Well, since it's a system app, you can't really uninstall it.
Yeah.
But
so it comes with the system, so there's no way to uninstall it.
Wait, the YouTube app?
It might be.
Yep.
Samsung, it's interesting. Lately, Samsung has kind of changed their tune about Google. For a long time, when you got a Samsung phone, you got both Samsung messages and Google messages, and they've announced they're going to stop shipping their phones with Samsung messages. It's going to be Google messages going forward. And so I guess they've kissed and made up. For a while, Samsung didn't even say it was an Android phone. They really didn't want any connection to Google. Can you disable it? And mainly, you want to delete the data cache, because I suspected it's something.
I've tried that. Yeah. I've installed updates. Still happening after the updates. Still happened. Reverted from the updates. Still happening. I have a YouTube Premium account. I thought it had something to do with that.
Well, it shouldn't reboot nothing should reboot the phone. Is it really shutting off and starting up again? Do you see the Samsung logo?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
100% every time.
That's not. I would send it back. I think there's something seriously wrong with it.
So you're saying you did say you went to the App Store, you typed in YouTube and tried to just get it from the App Store just to see.
Yep. Got it. Tried getting it right off.
Before you send it back, do a factory reset on it. I know it's a pain.
Did it
twice?
Wow. Oh no, it's broken.
There's something wrong with it.
It broke.
That's a lemon.
Okay.
Wow.
I just before I sent it off and
yeah, what a pain. I know.
And get my money back for it and everything.
Why would one app break the phone? Well, YouTube probably is accessing an area of memory. It's loading enough stuff that it's accessing an area of memory that's failed. And when it hits that, the whole thing blows up. You could probably find...
It's CrowdStrike.
It's CrowdStrike.
It's been very similar, yes.
You could probably find other apps, big fat apps that would do that. Or maybe it's possible Google, in order to play video, has to load a driver that's flawed, but there's something really broken. The reset should fix anything that's software only, right? Because you're refreshing all the software. So the fact that it doesn't, and you've done it twice, which is admirable, that means there's some hardware issue with the phone, and that's why you have to send it back. There's nothing you can do about that.
Okay, I just figured I'd get y'all's opinion beforehand.
Worth a try. Really nice to talk to you.
Sorry that it's not simpler.
I appreciate it. Yeah.
It's fine.
It's a nice phone. I think you're going to really like it. Great camera.
It
and Samsung's screens are the best screens in the business. There are no better screens even on the iPhone. They have the best OLEDs. They keep them to themselves. So enjoy it.
It's a very awesome phone, other than this one problem.
Have you ever considered a folding phone?
I tried it. I tried the Z Fold 5 but also returned it mainly because the cost to performance benefit wasn't really there for me.
Yeah.
I also have a vision impairment where that large internal screen would be a benefit.
Okay.
But even that wasn't really, it wasn't what it cracked up to be. And the new one isn't really much different, so it's not, the desire is not there.
Right.
And plus, it doesn't have an S Pen until they stick an S Pen in that chassis.
I
I'm not
love
getting
the
another
S
one.
Pen. I agree with you. I'm 100%. I had the first. I had every note, even the one that blew up. I
have that one.
Yeah, I had to send it back. I loved the note, and so I was really glad that they started putting the pen into their S series, because that's actually a note, right? It's as big as a note.
Yep.
There really is no difference. I'm a little jealous. I think that's a really, really nice phone. Did you try the Galaxy AI stuff yet?
I didn't. I've just mainly been sticking to ChatGPT and Gemini.
Yeah.
For more.
I'm curious.
Contextual.
Very tempted. I have the S23 and love it, but the 24 is very tempting. Yeah, that one is.
I think I'm gonna return this one and just wait for the S25 and try my luck again.
Yeah, right. That'll be out soon, right? When do they usually announce?
6 months.
Yeah, something like that.
Typically January.
Yeah. All right, nice to talk to you. I'm sorry about your bad phone.
Yeah, that sucks.
It's all right.
We get so used to the reliability of these devices that we forget it happens. There's a defect. And companies should understand that and should be able to return it and replace it easily.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for the call, Richard. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
Same.
Yep.
All right. Email?
Oh, email. Oh, imagine that.
ATG@twit.tv.
What's that email doing in the mailbox? Remote desktop from Richard, sent from his iPhone.
Oh.
I'm thinking.
AKA his remote desktop.
I'm thinking he never changed his signature. But maybe the kids today, that's a status symbol.
Could be.
They don't change his signature. Richard says, 2 questions. 2. I have a PC at home I'd like to access and use when I'm not at home. I'm a bit confused by RDP and VPN. Do I need both to securely use my computer?
To securely use
RDP is Remote Desktop Protocol. VPN is Virtual Private Network. Now RDP has had a checkered past, but assuming that Windows has properly implemented RDP currently, it should be just as secure as if you used a VPN, right? But it is the case that RDP has in the past had flaws. So, I think it's fine. Just use RDP. VPN is if you are accessing the company's network and you wanted to not just access a remote machine, but access other resources on that network. You probably don't know that. And yes, randomly delivered pizza is fine. That was the chat room did that to me. I also looked at Parallels just to put everything on my new MacBook Pro, but that is expensive, having to buy a copy of Windows and pay for Parallels. I know. That's what I did, but
what's that Penguin site that you recommend?
Penguin, Pinguin. I paid $27 for my Windows license, and apparently it's legit.
Yeah.
I know. It doesn't seem legit. But Tom's Hardware, the website, which is a reliable website, recommended it, so I tried it, and it's fine.
And to this day, your Windows loads. It loads.
It's no problem. If I had brought my computer, it would be.
Because oftentimes what they're doing is they're buying the extras of the deals that are getting sent to OEMs.
They're legit. Even Microsoft says they're legit. So Penguin. But you still have to buy Parallels. While looking at this, I noticed they're making such a big deal about being able to use the M chip now. What makes them so different from the other chips? Oh, Richard.
That's a big question.
That's a big question. I should have saved that for last. Oh, I did.
Zing, zing.
Okay, so
we have
first
all of this
all,
planned. It may seem sporadic, but it's not.
If you want to run Windows on a Mac, an M1 Apple Silicon Mac, you got to get Parallels. And it's great. I think VMware Fusion now does it too, but Parallels really works beautifully. So well that it's like the best Windows. Now, that ties into your last question, which is, it's not the standard Windows you'll be installing. You'll be installing Microsoft's Windows on ARM. So that's one of the big differences. Apple went from Intel chips to ARM-based chips of its own design. Of its own design is really important. Qualcomm also has ARM-based chips. Your phone has an ARM-based chip. ARM was initially founded by Acorn and Apple for the Newton to make a low-power, very efficient chip for a portable device. And in fact, that's why ARM chips are very widely used in portable devices, initially phones, and eventually now they're starting to be used in laptops. They have a lot of, they're fast given their consumption of energy. Low energy consumption also means they run quieter and cooler. You don't need fans. And the Apple chips have an additional advantage. They are designed for a very specific hardware and software stack. Apple makes them all three, right? So they know what software is going to be run, they know what the hardware is, and they can make sure that their chips are optimized for the kinds of tasks that you would run on an Apple device. So, and they also have a long history because the iPhone is the original Apple silicon. They started putting those in, I don't know when, A4, A5. They've been doing that for more than a decade, and then they have expanded them to make them desktop chips, and they're very, very good. Now, the good news is you're starting to see these on Microsoft's side. That's why there is a version of Windows for ARM processors. And Qualcomm just this year came out with its new Snapdragon X Elite, which is comparable in many ways to the Apple chip. They don't have the advantage Apple does of, we know exactly what hardware and software is going to be running on this. You know, we make the operating system, we make the machine, and we make the chip. So that's the advantage Apple has. Qualcomm has to make it for a much broader variety. And yet they've done very well in early reports. These just came out June 18th. Early reports for these Qualcomm-based computers, laptops, from Microsoft, Lenovo, Asus, HP, are that they're great. You read Paul Thurrott's reviews on his website, thurrott.com. They are very, very impressive. Great battery life. That's what you'd expect from an ARM chip. Low power. They run cool. They run quiet. And they're very, very fast. The other thing Apple has done since practically the beginning is built in what they used to call a machine language coprocessor into these. Now, Microsoft calls it an NPU, or neural processing unit. These are parts of the chip designed specifically for running AI tasks. So that's one of the reasons you're seeing more and more PCs and more phones offer artificial intelligence locally, because they have these processors. So there's a huge advantage, frankly, to Apple designing its own chips. And they've seen that advantage for the last couple of years, but Microsoft's catching up. Now, it's bad news for Intel, frankly. Intel is trying to do the same thing. In fact, Intel is essentially making the same kinds of chips that ARM makes. They call them reduced instruction set computing chips, RISC. And all the new Intel stuff has efficiency cores and performance cores, just like the Apple silicon. It's really interesting to watch how Apple has influenced the entire industry. But this is good for everybody, whether you're running Windows or Macintosh. I think there's some real benefits to this. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Pretty good. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys. That's what you're watching. I'm Lionel Richie, and I don't know who you are. Who are you? You can be anybody you want.
Today I'm Mickey Mouse.
I was going to say Mr. T, but that's okay. Mickey Mouse if you want to be. Okay.
I can do Mickey's voice a little bit.
Pity the
fool. I'll answer a quick question.
Yes.
That just came up in the chat. So if you're listening, Rail Europe groups.
Wow.
It is a printer question, but that's why I'm taking care of it. I have an HP printer that is an instant ink printer. I was paying monthly their fee, but after 6 months of not getting any ink sent by them, I stopped payment. So first I want to say this. You pay monthly for the fee, and they only send you ink when you run out of ink. So if you don't use the amount of printing required to run out of ink, they're not going to send you new ink. Yes, it's bad, it's this, it's that, and the other, but you just have to understand how the program works.
Not to ink,
but to how many pages
but
you're
to
printing.
HP.
Yeah, exactly. It says, I then saw an amber light flashing on my printer and it said printing disabled. I found I can no longer send anything to print, thereby making my printer unusable. Is there a way around this, or am I now forced to buy a new printer? No. So here's what happened. When you agreed to be part of the Instant Ink program,
you have to stay in it.
HP sent you ink that is blessed as part of the Instant Ink program.
Yes.
When you installed it, you agreed that you would only use this ink for as long as you were part of the Instant Ink program. When you left the program, the ink that is in your printer that is part of the Instant Ink program
They took it back.
is no longer usable.
They sucked it right out of your printer.
All you have to do to continue to use your printer is buy HP ink from wherever that is not part of the Instant Ink program. So the kind you can buy at the store. If you go to Best Buy and you get the ink for your printer and you put it in, your printer is going to work again. The thing that you agreed is that those ink cartridges that were part of the HP Instant Ink program only work as long as you have an HP Instant Ink subscription. So to leave the HP Instant Ink subscription, go to the store, buy some HP ink cartridges for that printer, you'll be fine.
All I can say is Cory Doctorow was right.
Mm-hmm.
This all happened because I don't know why it happened.
It's because they weren't making enough money off of their printers because they were subsidizing the cost of the printer.
They wanted to sell you printers at $80, but they didn't pay for the printers if they sell it to you for $80. So they said, well, we'll make it up in the ink. And that worked for a while. But then people started using other companies' ink.
Mm-hmm.
Now what do we do? We're not making much money either. So they figured out a way to make sure you use their ink. They actually put chips in the cartridges.
PRM, physical rights management.
Yeah. And PRM. Yeah. And so you still have to use an HP cartridge, but you don't have to do the ink subscription.
Correct. It's a good question, by the way. And if I sounded frustrated at you, I am not. I just want, because this is a common thing that comes up, and I want everyone to know you don't have to get rid of the printer. You don't have to e-waste your printer.
Yeah.
Please
it's a little
know that.
annoying, though, that HP does this.
But what you can do instead is buy that brother printer everybody has and never worry about this ever again.
It's not, the print quality is better on the HP, to be honest, than it is on the Brother Laser. But the Brother Laser, I don't have a subscription.
Yep.
I buy toner when I need it. I can buy it from third parties, et cetera. Although I have to say, I have the Brother Laser, and we just brought home a HP multifunction for Lisa because she wants color and she wants better quality print. I think, the first laser printer I ever saw was the Apple laser writer. And as I remember, it was $4,000. It was really, really expensive. And we thought, well, only, very fancy people will ever have laser writers. I certainly couldn't afford one. So the printer companies got to work and they figured out a way to get you the printer cheaper. But in the long run, you're probably still paying $4,000 over the life of the printer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do something else.
All right.
By the way, there are plenty of companies, not HP, that will let you use third-party cartridges. And also now with the EcoTank printers like Epson makes, Canon is starting to make these too. You don't even buy cartridges. You just buy a bunch of ink, put in a tank.
We have a couple more voicemails.
Let's do one.
Let's hear one.
Hey guys, my name is Bill. I'm in Tarzana, California, and I have 2 older iPads and a Surface Pro that's a couple years old, and I keep them in my music room plugged in all the time.
Sure.
I'm curious if that's a problem, or is it better for me to charge the devices and then drain them down and then recharge them?
Common question. Yeah. By the way, it's named Tarzana because Edgar Rice Burroughs lived there?
Ah.
Okay. Just thought I'd throw that in. No, that's all modern devices, and certainly all Apple devices, have circuitry that keep the thing in good shape. It doesn't hurt it to leave it plugged in. It did in the old days, maybe, but not anymore.
And that's why everybody still thinks that it's a problem, because it once was a problem, and unfortunately, there's still quote unquote technical reps who say that it's a problem, but that's because they don't know otherwise.
Right. That's it. Yeah, it's from the old nickel cadmium NiCad batteries that had a memory effect and all that stuff. What the Apple's doing, actually, I think many modern devices do is, they let it go up and then let it go down in little tiny bits. So it's not always, it's doing its own little, just let go and let Apple.
Go, exactly. They will many of these modern devices are going to properly manage it. Yeah. It's not an issue anymore.
I leave almost all my laptops and iPads plugged in most of the time.
Yeah. The only thing that I would recommend when doing that is just don't store it in direct sunlight while it's doing that.
No, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, that's bad for it even if it wasn't charging.
Yeah.
But while it's charging, there's typically going to be a little more heat involved. And so to add even more heat is not great.
Now, somebody in the Twitch chat said that the subscription cartridges have more ink than the store
That is
cartridges.
True. They do.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So is it a better deal on ink?
It is.
They just last longer.
It just lasts longer. Yeah. So then HP doesn't have to send it to you that often.
Oh, yeah, because the mailing cost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're always working an angle, those guys at HP. They're smart.
Yeah, whenever you sign up, they're like, you'll get the higher capacity premium cartridge from us instead of the one you buy at the store.
You never print.
Unless you never print.
And then you're paying monthly for something you're not using, really.
Exactly.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Should only do that if you do a lot of printing.
Yeah, I think the smallest one is 20 pages a month or something like that.
Oh, you actually subscribe by the pages.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, and then after that, it's per page, 5 cents per page.
But one Brian in the is it the Discord?
Yeah. That's Discord, yeah.
Yeah. Says if you print a lot, it's worth it. Okay. I'm not against it. I just, you got to understand what you're getting into.
Exactly. HP, holding prisoners. That's one new me on YouTube.
Thank you, one new me. I like it. Let us see here. A Bitwarden question. Our sponsor, Bitwarden from Wayne. Hello, Leo and Micah. Enjoy listening to the shows. Thank you, Wayne. I make sure to listen weekly. Thank you again. I always look forward to the witty conversations. Okay, now you're just buttering us up. Keep up the great work. Wow, I have a question about Bitwarden. I don't usually use the app in the computer, but I know something new to me. It might have always been there, but it's new to me. Under type on the left-hand pane, I say secure note. I would love to use this feature if it's secure. It is. I've trusted Bitwarden. I've been using it now for the past couple of years. Leo, you're the reason I switched over from LastPass. Thank you. Maybe you're not the only reason. They did have a breach. They did, which scared me into switching. Me too. Can't wait to hear the answers from the two of you. Keep up the work. Great work, guys. In fact, I've used Secure Note as long as it's been around, which I think has been years, so maybe you just never noticed it. I actually did it on LastPass too. The whole idea is really all a password manager is a thing that encrypts a ball of data. The data can include passwords, of course, and logins, but anything else. So I store my social security card, like images, my driver's license, my passport, all of that stuff in there because it is secure. And if you wanted to, I have notes that include all the family's social security numbers and stuff. I wouldn't put all their social security numbers into something that wasn't secure. Now, one thing does happen, and this is true, I think, of all password managers. If you store an image as a secure note and then you double click that image and you want to see it, it has to decrypt it to so you can see it, right? And at that point, oftentimes it's saved somewhere.
Yeah.
So if you've something you really want to keep truly secret, if you detach it or you open it up, make sure you then delete any copies of it that were saved as a result. In the secure bundle, it's secure and encrypted. But in order to see it, you have to decrypt it. Okay.
Good question.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a place to store information that's more secure than putting it in the Notes app or something.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's a little harder. There's extra effort involved, so I don't do it for all my notes. But for anything like a list of all the family social security numbers.
Next genius ideas, all in there.
All my world conquering thoughts, they're all in there. One more voicemail, and then we'll wrap it up.
Hi, this is Mark from Racine, Wisconsin.
Hi, Mark.
Micah and Leo, love the show. proud Club TWiT member.
Thank you.
Leo, my son and I had come up from Racine to Green Bay when you did a meetup recently.
That was so
in
much
Green Bay,
fun.
Wisconsin.
I remember you, Mike.
It was a fun time.
Oh, wasn't
anyway,
that great?
my question is, Leo has mentioned recently that he has moved from Authy to some other second factor app. And I was wondering if you could elaborate as to the reason why you migrated from Authy to this other app and how important it is to move to something else. Because currently right now I have a lot of second factors set up under Authy, and I'm trying to figure out if I need to take the time to make that change.
Stay with
Thank
Authy,
you.
Mike. By the way, did you know Racine was named Racine because Edgar Rice Burroughs lived there? Many people didn't know that. No? That's not true? Okay.
Okay.
Can you see my screen, Racine? There it is. There is 2FAS. This is the Authenticator that I use right now. Let me enter my...
Free and open source.
It's free, it's open source, and it has the same thing that I liked Authy for, which is it saves the secrets that generate these 6-digit codes. And it saves them encrypted onto iCloud if I'm on an iPhone, or Google Drive if I'm on an Android device. By doing that, it makes it very easy for me to use multiple phones or move from phone to phone. And one of the kind of the hazards of this job is I'm always installing new phones. So I need an authenticator that will be portable, that will go everywhere. Authy does that. Now, I don't have a strong reason to move off of Authy. It's made by Twilio. That's why it's free. It specifically has extra support for Twilio customers. So you may notice a few of your authentication keys are kind of a little different. It also hosts the file for your secrets on its servers. That was the main reason I moved, is because now you have all of your two-factor secrets stored on commercial companies' servers. And in fact, Twilio recently did have a little bit of a breach, and all the people who had Authy, their phone numbers were revealed to bad guys. So maybe my instincts were good. That has not happened to 2FAS yet. Probably not because 2FAS is so wonderful, but because it's a much smaller market. Authy was becoming very well known, so it becomes the target for more attacks. 2FAS is free. It does all the same things Authy did. The other reason, which is really silly, that I switched is because the numbers are really big and easy for this old guy to read. And so that was, for me, the other thing I did not like about Authy was they didn't seem to have much order in the numbers. You had to find the secret sort thing. It was just kind of, the UI felt a little haphazard. So I'm very much more a fan of this. You may say, Leo, you're giving away all your 6-digit keys. Well, you better use them fast.
Yeah, exactly.
In 30 seconds, they're going to change. Oh, there they did. Okay, so you now have 30 seconds to use my 6-figure
while also guessing
factors.
Your pseudo-random
password too. Now, if somebody's watching who already knows my password, I've just given them my keys to my kingdom. But anyway, you see the nice little countdown timer on the right there, and it has the logo. I just like how it looks better than Authy, to be honest. There were a couple of things I couldn't get off of Authy, so I actually still have Authy on my phone. Look at the difference in the interface, though. It's just you have to hit the thing, and it's not as good. And I don't know. It's not. To me, I just like 2FAS better. And that's the answer to that question. Thank you for your very kind words, Mike. It was really fun to see you in Green Bay. I have to get together this plan to do a meetup in New York City. Lisa and I are going to be there the week after Labor Day. And maybe we're thinking like on the 7th or the 8th of September doing a meetup. So, but I haven't yet figured that out. Joe, who is one of our Club TWiT members, he's in our Discord, and is a street photographer in New York City, has put together a really lovely photo walk itinerary that I'd like to do.
Oh, that's
too.
awesome.
So maybe we can do a meetup and then a photo walk, or figure that out.
That's so cool.
I've been consumed by the studio move. That's been every ounce of my attention. So I really haven't done any thinking about that. But yeah, we're only 6 weeks off. I better find my passport. And I better make some plans for a meetup in New York City. Micah Sargent will be back Tuesdays for iOS Today with Rosemary Orchard. Thursdays for Tech News Weekly. And, of course, right here every Sunday. Thank you, Micah, for being here. Mm-hmm. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Thanks especially to our Club TWiT members.
We love you.
We need a special handshake.
Yeah, secret handshake.
That's probably not the best secret handshake. We are so grateful to all of you for the support that you give us, not just financial, but the moral support. If you are a regular, you like our shows, and you want us to keep doing them, we want to keep doing them too. Ad support has really dwindled. This show had 0 advertisers. There may be some advertisements inserted in later, but those pay a fraction of what advertisers used to pay. So in order to keep this going, even after leaving the studio, but in order to keep Micah and Benito and John and Burke and everybody, well, John, we don't have to worry about you. We can cut, boy, that's going to be like $15,000 a year off because we're losing John. No, he's retiring, which is, I'm thrilled. But everybody else we want to keep. And so that means you have to help us, or you don't have to, but we would like you to help us. $7 a month is a minimum. You can pay more, whatever you feel is appropriate. twit.tv/clubtwit. You get ad-free versions of the show, should you choose, access to the Discord, special events. How did the crafting corner go, by the way? I meant to go in there, yeah.
This last one went really well. I started before I was doing crochet this time, I started working on a little model, like it's a little room, and you have to put together all the pieces and glue and all this stuff.
I've seen those.
Yeah.
You punch them out and
yeah, and it's got little wires and little pieces
really
of fabric.
Cool.
And, so we're kind of doing one module at a time.
Like a dollhouse.
Yeah, and I started to feel like little trees, happy trees.
Yeah, you were the Bob
Ross of miniatures.
Of miniature houses.
It was quite fun. People were kind of sharing stuff that they've worked on. Patrick Delahanty and one of our listeners, it was actually Galia, were talking about the resin casts that they've done.
Fun.
So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
I love that. Well, we'll keep doing that. Honestly, once I get my little attic studio set up, I will go on and you and I'll do stuff.
Yeah, we'll hang out.
I talked to Father Robert Balaser. He's going to join us from his Vatican studio. We can do some, that's what I would have done during the CrowdStrike thing, is get Robert and Steve Gibson on, and we could have talked about that. It's not set up yet. It will be. Burke's going to come over to the house tomorrow. Huh? He's there now? Is that why he went over there? Who's going to help him lift? Oh, well, Burke hates it that I've been climbing up on a ladder on this bookshelf that's not secure, made out of old metal. He's afraid I'm going to impale myself. So God bless you, Burke. Thank you. He went over to the house, and he's going to start putting that desk together. I hope I have all the pieces all laid out, He's a brave man. Anyway, thank you, Burke. I really appreciate that. See what the club does? Thank you, everybody. twit.tv/clubtwit. I will take care of myself, and we will be streaming from the attic starting August 12th?
Yes.
August 12th will be our first.
August 11th, sorry.
August 11th will be our first show from the attic, the brand new attic studio, and all the shows subsequently. And then we'll be decommissioning this studio. And if you're in the neighborhood, come by and pick up some stuff. Because please, we got to get rid of this. Anybody want this fine fireplace? How many of these monitors do we have? That's it for Ask the Tech Guy.
Just random question.
There's lots. Anybody want the clock? It doesn't keep the time. Yes, it does. Oh, it is. You fixed it. Thank you.
That seems like a cumbersome nightmare.
You fixed it. Wow. That's very nice of you, John. This porthole is available. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff that we don't know what to do with, to be honest.
So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye. Have a great geek week, will you?